Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pillar to Post. This is the recap show. I am Rashawn Aline, and I'm joined as always by Kobe Hamling. And together we're going to go through last race day, which was the JB Simpson Memorial Race Day. And it featured the JB Simpson Memorial Classic, but it had some good supporting features as well, Kobe. So the rain couldn't dampen what was, after the dust settled, a pretty good race day.
Yeah, all in all, a pretty enjoyable race day. But of course, with the change in conditions came a change in picks. We had some, I don't want to say out the box winners, but maybe some horses that we weren't expecting during the week as we expected a firm track. We ended up with soft in some areas, good to soft in some areas, and a relatively slow track, if I may say so, Rashawn.
No, yeah, it ended up being completely different to how we handicapped it early in the week. But one race that we kind of ran through the form regardless of the condition change was the John B. Simpson Memorial Classic, and it was won
Yeah,
by Portfolio Company. And this was my best bet of the day, and I'm not surprised that it ended up being this result.
of course, because it was your best bet.
Yeah,
I
so
was really happy to see the reintroduction of the two springhead horses. These are two of the more anticipated horses on the island, being Jared Nipper and Portfolio Company. Portfolio Company being last year's Gold Cup winner, and it seemed like Portfolio loved the going, especially around the first turn. Basically picked up the race. He's not a front runner, but he was super headstrong. Saw how that just passed.
yeah, when this started happening, when he joined Jerry the Nipper and Brilliant News, who was shockingly contesting the pace, I was like, here we go again. It's the first Saturday in March all over again. And I think what was key in this spot is that unlike the Gold Cup, where Portfolio Company kind of got headstrong again, not ranked, but just really raced strongly into the bit. Antonio Bishop let him pick up the race. Rather than trying to hold him and sit behind Jerry the Nipper, he just completely overhauled the field. And, they say when you have the best horse, you ride him that he's the best horse. And I think that's what Antonio Bishop did so well here. And then Caspian C, I think, at making that move to follow Portfolio Company was the shot, because I really thought the horse that would challenge the Springhead pair would have been Warbeat.
I do agree with you. The son of Ulysses, as much he is the son of Ulysses, he's more so a pace setter, unlike his father. I thought he wouldn't have liked the going. He was completely different. Warbeat, we're trying to gauge how good he is. Of course, he came here as a prospect for the 2026 Gold Cup. Um, I still don't know where to put him, simply due to the fact that it wasn't off track. It wasn't true to form, but who says if we're Sahara in March, we don't end up with a track like this?
No, it's obviously going to be a question. No, was he beaten this far because of class? Was he beaten this far because of what was underneath their feet? That's going to be interesting. Obviously, they're in a class and they've brought him here for the Gold Cup. So we're going to continue to get more gauging on War B. I think it's also very interesting to note with Jerry the Nipper, who usually front runners, when they're challenged and or passed, are never as resolute as this eight-year-old gelding. And I think Jerry the Nipper being engaged by Portfolio Company from his outside and Brilliant News from his inside so early, then getting passed by 2 to 3 horses to re-rally with 128 pounds and finish second was also huge for him in conditions that probably he doesn't want either.
He showed great heart. I thought with the going, I completely threw away Caspian C and Jared Nipper initially. And I said, this race is basically between Portfolio Company and Warbeat. Is Warbeat good enough to take 10 pounds from Portfolio and beat him, or vice versa? Is Portfolio good enough, to give away 10 pounds and defy the odds? And well, as we see, maybe the going was a big factor, but Portfolio Company made no mistakes. Now,
Yeah, I guess the
if
final thing that I will say on that is just I think grout distance with these two horses, they are 10 plus pounds better than everybody else, bar one, and that horse is their stablemate, and that's Smoking Tea. So we'll see how they settled and after this, but this was very impressive from Portfolio Company. So now we're going to
well,
move on to my right of the day. Actually, it was
okay.
the supporting feature. It was the renaming of the Grandstand Trophy Handicap, and it was won by Paper Trail. And just to note, obviously, they renamed the Grandstand after Sir David Seal on Saturday. There was a ceremony surrounding that ran before this race, but this is not how it was drawn up in the week when the rain didn't fall. Well, the rain fell and it completely flipped on its head.
Yeah, completely. I was actually quite surprised that Nostradamus even faced his starter. I figured with the going, you're not going to risk the horse, may I say. I was surprised to see that she did race. Paper Trail, though, made no mistakes there. Paper Trail did show in the previous start, beating Northern Lady at 5 furlongs flat, that he can go on soft. And he reminded us, I am that guy once outside the soft. He dismissed Nostradamus, Major Dan, Donis Trubling, and Lightning Lewis. What a
Yeah,
performance!
no, this was a pretty good performance. Obviously, conditions definitely aided because it leveled the playing field. You can see Nostradamus did not get out the gates as quickly as she usually does when it's firm, and she didn't
No, you can
travel
see
as
she didn't like it.
yeah, she didn't travel as comfortably. But why I like it so much is because this is a horse who has shown speed in the past. His last couple of starts, he didn't necessarily show that early footing, but they came
Mhm.
up with a game plan on this day, and Lester Edwards executed it to perfection. They kept him moving in the warm ups. Like he did not have a handler until it was time to go into the gates, and you could see in the pre-parade and the warm up that their goal was to run Nostradasa into the ground, and they were successful.
It completely paid off. They executed their entire plan perfectly. Paper Trail, I figured Nostradamus would have still been good enough maybe to lead early, and Paper Trail would have picked up the race with about two to go. But Lester Blimais Edwards said, no, 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 from gate to wire, let's go. A game is on.
And question for you, because obviously we talk about this a lot, where she's the most exciting horse in Barbados right now, and she has bigger goals than this, obviously. So next race is going to be the BTBS Classic. Now, are you a little weary that this takes a toll on her, or that she's just a little vulnerable now? They figured out that you can go after her and beat her. Like, where does Nostradamus stand with a loss like this? Or is it like, it was wet, she was going to lose regardless?
Well, this is just a thing. This is why I was surprised you faced starter. I was afraid to sacrifice, or I was afraid they should be sacrificed in this instance for the BTBA Classic. I think obviously the bigger picture is that ninth along the end of the month, Independence Day race day. But as long as outside is firm, I still don't think anyone's beating her. I think she was beaten because of conditions. And I think Jarrell Beckles did do a good job in saving her. Knowing that there's a bigger picture after this and there's no need to punish her in this race. Ease up, let her just run to the wire. There's no need to push her completely 100%. Just get her there safely, let her course out, let her do what she wants. And, we go on to November 29th and we show them we are still the most exciting and maybe even the best horse in Barbados, at least the best Creole, should I say. Let's not go on to the best horse just as
Right.
yet.
But yeah,
But
I think it's very interesting
she's
that they
she's
did face
still
the
the
starter.
horse.
No, she is still. I haven't lost any faith in her, at least with the Creole ranks. I think it's going to be interesting to see what she does, especially know that we've had so much rain this week, and if that continues into next week, if they even race, but they probably will. I think it's a horse. Another thing too is that this is a horse that missed the midsummer, so she does battle probably with soundness issues. So this could have been a nice workout for her to rev her up perfectly for the classic next race day. But we'll see. Again, Paper Trail, take nothing away from him. He's trending upward.
Yeah, no, so that's fingers crossed that the sun comes out. Fingers crossed that we get a firm track and a completely fair race. And let's see what she has in store. I don't think she'll be beaten, but I do want to move on to my ride of the day, Rashawn. My ride of the day ended up coming in race number 5, the Sanford Prince Trophy, where Dr. B was able to complete his hat trick of wins. And my golly, as much as I knew Dr. B, Life is Great, Leah, and maybe even Invictus would like the going, Dr. B simply ate it up. And Kamari Blackett, he is turning into something to watch out for the future. He is a 7 pound apprentice. He does lack some experience, and you can see it in some of his rides. But there are races like this where I must say he's going to be something for the future.
No, he definitely gave Dr. B a perfect ride in this spot, just kept him out of trouble. And again, like with Portfolio Company, when you ultimately are riding the best horse, which Dr. B turned out to be, you just have to be a perfect passenger and not do too much. And that's what he did. He stopped Life is Great, who ran a pretty big race and ultimately finished third. And he got a big jump on Bahari Cove, who I want to give a lot of credit to somehow get up for second. I thought as I
You
was calling the
must.
race,
That
yeah,
cannot be
that he
ignored.
was going to
You
be third.
must.
Yeah, and I thought Baharico was just miles better than Dr. B, and I think still ran the best race in this spot. But to Dr. B, I think when a horse is just doing well, it's hard to knock them. And if you looked at Dr. B before the race, he looked a picture. He's in some good form physically, but also on paper. Bahari Cove again, rallying from so far back. Obviously, it's going to be hard to do that at the Garrison. And then Life is Great with the 7 pound claim. I think that was telling. He's a horse that probably isn't that great on soft going, so I thought that was a good performance from all three. But Dr. B, yeah, it was fantastic right by Blackett and a good performance from Dr. B.
Yeah, and just as you said, I do have to highlight Bahari Cove's effort. I do love to see when a horse gives his absolute 100%. And that was amazing. With 4 furlongs to go, remember the commentator said, and Bahari Cove is under pressure. He's under a hand right. And I said, he is beaten today. And at the top of the stretch, when I saw the white silks flashing on the white outside, I thought, where is this horse going? This is amazing. Life is Great, who just came off the bench. I think he gave a creditable effort. I think deep stretch, he may have gotten tired seeing that he's facing horses who have had a race before, but taking nothing away from Dr. B, I'd love to see him go up the scale. I'd love to see him compete with even better horses in more competitive races.
No, those Creoles are only going to continue going up the ladder. So we'll see where they fall. But those two, especially, are good ones to look out for. Maybe they're going to get on the Spa Sprint trail. But there you have it. It was a fantastic race day for the John B. Simpson Memorial Race Day. Uh, Winners across the board for Pillar to Post and Portfolio Company for my best bet, and Dr. B and Paper Trail down in Nostradamus. It was a fantastic race day. And now we turn our attention to next race day, the BTBA race day, which is going to feature the Juvenile. And you're going to see Venom. Yeah, Venom, Ultrasound, Dapper David, who I think is the most impressive 2-year-old that we've seen so far. The Classic, which is maybe could be Nostradamus and just the rest. Her Crop and Phil Morris, Undisputed, Aries. And then there's going to be the Jockey Challenge, and it's going to look a little different this year, where we're going to have Barbadian riders on both teams, riders who were successful in North America on one side for the Progressive Pride and Local Pride. And the Progressive Pride is actually headed by Rashid Hughes, captained by Rashid Hughes, and Local Pride is captained by Ricky Walcott. And there's also a jockey championship on the line. The title is close. It's separated by 6 wins. And then the winning team of the Jockey Challenge will be making a donation to a charity of their choice. So that comes off Independence Weekend, November 29th. And we are going to be here to cover it. So thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Pillar to Post. And as always, may all your tickets be winning ones.